Hey there, fellow wanderers. You find yourself stepping into the past, where the air is thick with the distinct scent of campfire smoke and the rugged aroma of leather armor. A chill clings to your skin, a sharp nip reminding you of the nights spent under the vast expanse of the starlit sky. You can almost hear the gentle rumble of hooves against the dusty ground, the kind of percussion that carries tales of bravery and madcap adventures across the plains. This is a realm where the nomadic warriors roam, riding with the wind, faces smudged with dust and determination. You are at the cusp of a world where survival is both a routine and a miracle, where humor often punctuates tales of hardship, and where life is anything but a fairy tale. This is not a fairy tale, but a mosaic of grit, cunning, and, strangely, a fair bit of laughter. These warriors weave stories of daring deeds and missteps with the kind of humor only those who have lived it could truly understand. So before we dive deeper, I ask only this. If this kind of raw, unvarnished truth speaks to you, click like, hit subscribe, and leave a trace of yourself in the comments. Tell me your city, your time, your state of mind. Now, dim the lights. Let the hum of your fan blend with the wind of centuries past. Let's begin. And remember, in medieval times, even survival was a luxury. Your journey begins not with grand halls or city streets, but with the open sky and the endless horizon. It's rugged, raw, and relentless, like the laugh of a friendly old hermit who knows a secret or two. You trudge alongside bands that are as diverse as a chaotic melody, hues of skin and shades of personality, all adding to the stark, bold canvas of nomadic life. Historians still argue whether these warriors started off as farmers, pushed to wanderlust by famine, or as innate travelers yearning for the unknown. There's a certain grittiness to the life of these nomadic warriors, where even the wind seems to whisper tales of worn-out travelers and glorious expeditions. The nomadic way of life is largely dictated by necessity, a dance balanced finely between survival and exploration. The vast steppes, the unforgiving deserts, and the lush grasslands are not just backgrounds. They are the lifeblood, shaping every warrior's journey. The scent of dried meat mingles with that of wild herbs, both sustaining and savouring those who thrive in these open theatres. Every step is a reminder of the uncertain bounty of nature. One moment you could be in the throes of a drought, the next a sudden downpour that turns your path into a slippery adventure. The temperature, as capricious as a jester, can scorch you with the sun during the day and nip at your bones with cold by night. This alternating dance of elements teaches resilience, humour becoming a shield against the harsh. Laughter, after all, is better than carting around heavy armour. It might not stop an arrow, but it lightens the soul's load. Mainstream accounts of these warriors often credit them with simple, harsh existences. But there's more beneath the surface. A hidden layer of stories and experiences as colourful and varied as the patterns on their tents. Every morning is an opportunity, a chance to tilt the odds in your favour, with a firm handshake from Lady Luck herself. And sometimes, what seems like mere survival turns into a series of fortunate yet comical events. Like when supplies run out, and you're forced to hunt mysterious game, turning out to be rather disinterested donkeys. Gazing into the distance, you catch sight of a clan gathered in a circle. They are sharing stories passed from generation to generation, each tale carrying wisdom, humour, and the occasional exaggeration. You eavesdrop, straining to catch the punchline of a particularly outrageous story. It turns out to be a favourite, about a warrior too proud to admit he'd lost a sparring match. To his wife, no less, the group erupts into laughter as they picture his exaggerated displays of bravado in every retelling. This sense of humour extends to their very approach to conflict, where a well-timed jest could save lives better than a sharpened blade. While some might raise an eyebrow at the blend of idolised warriors with crackling wit, it's essential to understand that it's this very humour that oils the gears of their challenging life. Stories circulate of how leaders adroitly managed to diffuse tensions between clans, with nothing more than a cleverly staged theatrical mock fight that left everyone in stitches and campaigns abandoned in good cheer. In your heart, you sense that these nomadic warriors live life in a manner many might envy today, unmoored from the shackles of tomorrow, thriving in the moment, where each sunset is an achievement and each sunrise a promise for new tales to be spun. You are surrounded by whispers of the past, painting images of nomadic life not just in strokes of battleground glory, but in sketches of shared laughter. Rid yourself of the notion that these were humorless times, for a good chuckle often trumped the choicest of weapons. So step lightly into this time, carried on a wave of parchments that rustle like the grass under a roaming horse's step. There are laughs waiting, tucked beneath the layers of leather and lore, awaiting your eager ears. Shall we ride onwards? From the crisp air of the steppes to the arid sweeps of the desert, you find yourself journeying deeper into the origins of these vibrant nomadic tribes. Their beginnings are as humble as the grass beneath their feet, but as profound as the paths they blaze. These are not the grand opuses of empire builders, but the grounded stories of people who saw the horizon not as an end, but as an invitation. Born from necessity or perhaps a restless urge, their journey began with the slight, almost imperceptible tug of wanderlust, a call as old as time, as compelling as hunger. Imagine a time when resources are scarce and roots are tenuous at best. Drought withers crops, and soon the vibrancy of a once bountiful landscape fades like an old tapestry left too long in sunlight. From these fields sprang the first steps of nomadism. Some historians suggest a beginning of escape, a fleeing from famine or dire need. Others romanticize their origins, painting them as visionaries, seeing pastoral life as a means rather than an end. Historians still argue whether necessity or spirit spearheaded this transition. Did they seek greener pastures, or yearn for untapped freedom? Relying on their wits and will, these early nomads began to traverse territories, scavenging knowledge alongside sustenance. Their migrations were rhythmic, in tune with the seasons like a well-rehearsed dance. The landscape, raw and unyielding, became both a companion and a challenge. Look around at the simple, precision-crafted tools lying scattered about. They are modest yet ingenious like the people who wielded them. These are not mere spears and arrowheads. They are storytellers of survival and skill. As you walk alongside them, the air is abuzz with the kinds of stories usually whispered under starlight. Stories where the line between tall tale and truth is as thin as smoke. The famed origins of unique customs, like the impromptu creation of intricate knot patterns that supposedly began when a warrior tried to impress a potential mate. To varying degrees of success, this blend of utility and whimsy encapsulates much of early nomadic ingenuity, where a simple entity could be both tool and narrative. Daily life unfolds with a rhythm as natural as breathing. Sunrise heralds a chorus of life being packed away, a meticulous yet instinctive ballet of organization and chaos woven together. Yurts are dismantled and packed, in a practiced ritual resembling children's blocks collapsing in graceful unison. The smells of the hearth quickly dissipate as portable fires are smothered and lovingly unlatched from the earth. This was their routine, a testament to flexibility and endurance. Humour in this ever-changing landscape became a precious commodity. When the days stretch long and endurance is measured not in miles but in laughter, it's the sly jest or the mischievous wink that lightens the load carried. Like, remember that warrior too proud to admit to his spouse's victory? Picture now his quiet plot to provoke her horse into commandeering nearby pies, a prank which, though successful, led to blistering debates over who owed who an apology or a dinner. Families are alliances bound by laughter. Young ones toddle behind herds, gleefully mimicking their elders with sticks and imaginary swords, their footprints disappearing like memories in the wind. Pets, too, become part of this lively tapestry, often blamed, whether or not rightly, for mischief. Blame is shared, as is the warmth of fireplaces. You can almost hear the echoes of their conversations as they share meals scavenged from 1,000 corners, each bite a reminder of endless adaptability. There is an undercurrent of cooperation that knits the tribe together, a community endeavour as much as individual spirit. Lending a hand in communal chores, sharing a joke over woven fronds, relief comes in myriad forms. Sometimes in the form of forgotten lines from a song, or a failed attempt at capturing a particularly rascally hare, which ended up trailing flour along tent entrances. In this colourful tapestry of beginnings you glimpse a spark, a resilience that echoes in the countless generations to follow. Through humour, adversity softens, camaraderie strengthens, and from these first humble wanderings, a saga unfurls. It's a story of more than survival. It's a celebration of the resilient human spirit and the laughter that gently shepherds it forward with each step. As you walk away, leaving footprints that will fade but never entirely vanish, Carry with you this kernel of understanding. The origins of the Nomads are rooted not in grandeur, but in the simple pleasure of a shared journey, driven by grit, tempered by humour. Where to next, you ask? Step light, friend, for the tales are many and our path is still long. Now, as you journey alongside these nomadic warriors, day-to-day life unfolds in a pattern that defies the predictable, a tapestry woven from moments both ordinary and extraordinary. Picture yourself pulling back the flap of a yurt just as the sun peeks hesitantly over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of amber and scarlet. Each day presents itself as an adventure, a story yet unwritten, beneath the broad and ceaseless sky. The whisper of morning welcomes you as you stretch, brushing off the cold and embracing the possibility of the day. You awaken to the gentle hum of early activity. The sounds of life echo around you, a symphony of movement and intention. The air is tinged with the earthy aroma of animals and the faint scent of breakfast cooking, perhaps mutton spiced with wild herbs, emanating warmth and familiarity. The smells wrap around you, a sensory embrace that assures you of your place within this wandering tribe. The day's rhythm is determined by both necessity and curiosity, for a nomad's life is balanced between surviving and savouring, where the two often intertwine. Morning starts with chores familiar to any settled society, yet executed with more ephemeral grace. You see warriors gathering water, children racing to catch the chickens, while elders sit weaving tales as much as fabrics. The mingling of generations creates a harmonic blend of stories that weave themselves into the very fabric of daily life, each anecdote a patch on the quilt of shared experience. Hunting is a central piece of this daily narrative. Picture yourself part of a hunting party, setting out with the excitement of a shared purpose, the ground crunching beneath your feet, the air fresh and alive with the promise of adventure. Each rustle in the underbrush is a clue, the earth itself a map crisscrossed with the signs known only to eyes trained by each day's new exploration. There's an art to tracking requiring patience and a keen sense of observation. While the goal is practical, securing food, there's also a thrill in the chase, a sense of the primordial dance between humans and nature. And sometimes, moments of light-heartedness punctuate this pursuit. Imagine a knot of warriors eagerly following what they believe to be the trail of a wild beast, only to discover the signs have led to an ornery goat, who seems rather unimpressed at the interruption of its grazing. Gatherings provide respite and community reinforcement. You join the circle at meals, sitting cross-legged under open skies. Meals are both sustenance and social theatre, where conversation flows as freely as the simplest broth. These moments extend beyond mere eating. They're about filling the soul as much as the stomach, where each bite represents a shared history and each sip the potential of new lore. Games and sports serve as the spice of life, infusing the mundane with energy and jest. Imagine yourself engaged in competitions that hone the skills a nomad requires: archery, wrestling, and the subtle art of jesting, because amongst warriors, laughter is just as sharp as any steel. A playful challenge to an archery match might mean pieforture for the loser, adding a sweet incentive for victory and the promise of a light-hearted celebration after. In the warmth of dusk, the tribe gathers by the fire. Shadows flicker against the sides of tents, and stories are woven by expert tongues, blending humour with lesson, creating a tapestry that spans generations. These fireside tales are the night's entertainment, as vivid as any performance and as rich as the stew bubbling in the pot. You might hear a recounting of a hunt that turned into a grand misadventure, complete with mischievous boars and runaway cart. And within this vitality, life bursts forward, a never-ending cycle that derives its charm and continuity through the ability to adapt, to find humour even in missteps. An unexpected rain shower might turn a routine trip to gather firewood into a soggy fellowship, chuckles echoing under the drip of a drenched canopy. For each misadventure is an opportunity, a chance to laugh and to grow, knitted closer by shared trials and the joy of discovery. Then, as night unfurls its robe of stars, you find yourself wrapped in gentle sounds that lull the senses. The rustle of tents in the breeze, the distant call of an owl, the rhythmic breathing of sleepers nearby. Sleep calls forth, offering a soft respite but promising the dawn of another day, rich with exploration and humour. From sunrise to starlight, each day in the life of a nomadic warrior is touched with the remarkable stories living until their echo dances upon the sands, urging your feet to wander yet another trail, seeking the magic in the mundane and finding tales where they weave most naturally in the tapestry of daily life. The narrative never stops. What's next awaits over the horizon, teasing with the glint of the unknown. Would you like to follow? As you continue to travel with this vibrant band of nomads, the unmistakable echo of laughter becomes your constant companion. It blends seamlessly with the drip of rain, the murmur of leaves, and the distant call of wild creatures. Humor lightens the often heavy journey like an unexpected breeze on a scorching day. In the severe expanse of climes that waver between extremes, this laughter is warmth in the cold, an umbrella in the heat, a salve for the soul. These warriors, whose lives you trace with the sun's passage, are masters of not just survival, but of finding levity in the absurdity of existence. It may come as a surprise that amid the unyielding landscapes and relentless schedules, there was room, indeed a necessity, for humour. Imagine encountering a nomadic warrior, stone-faced, solemn, until the moment they trip on a mischievous snake impersonator, a mere stick in reality, and burst into laughter as hearty and wild as the tumble that follows. In a world where the whims of the weather can turn a week's journey into a month's setback, humour becomes a strategy for coping. Picture sandy tempests that sculpt dunes into ever-shifting puzzles, a meeting of mischievous elements and those who navigate them. On one such occasion, a wise warrior waits, her demeanour the picture of tranquil resignation until the storm passes, at which point she turns to the group and quips about how the desert's idea of a welcome mat seems to be sticking sand into every conceivable crevice. In these open plains and endless skies, humour finds its strongest expression in community. As evening descends and shadows grow long, families come together beneath the sheltering arms of makeshift tents. They gather around meals of roasted game and roots baked under coals. Here, laughter shares the upright space reserved for only the most potent seasonings. It's what makes the food palatable, the company pleasurable. Recall a moment retold over countless firesides, one where a particularly tenacious goat managed to sneak into a chief's yurt, leaving chaos in its wake. Red-nosed children and adults alike delightedly recount how the chief's rescuing pursuit turned chaotic, involving the tribe's prized rug, which ended up inexplicably on the goat's back, beyond anyone's skill to recover without twisting in fits of laughter that echoed through the camp. And then there are gatherings where jesters and storytellers, those unofficial bards of nomadic life, pile every ounce of wit they possess into tales that both remind and amuse. Historians still argue whether humour was a tool for teaching or merely distraction. The truth likely rests comfortably in the middle, between raucous anecdote and pithy proverb. These performances, both carefully crafted and exhilaratingly spontaneous, serve to smooth frayed edges and cement bonds among the tribe through the universal language of a shared chuckle. Traditions embody humour too, colouring the rituals and rites that mark tribes' identities. During certain ceremonies, it is customary for young warriors to recite tongue-twisting puns while performing a dexterous balance of ceremonial items. Most fail spectacularly to delighted cheers and teasing, adding levity to the gravitas of ritual and echoing far into surrounding night. But humour's role expands beyond dampening discord. It shades the moments of tense diplomacy with neighbours, where a misplaced joke might mean the difference between battle scars and shared mead. In between the stoic exchanges over border disputes and pasture rights, a humorist might step forward to turn the conversation with a well-placed quip about comparing beard lengths instead of sword lengths. Both parties erupt into laughter, two rival chiefs find camaraderie in wit, and for the moment, bloodshed is averted. While laughter is shared, it also becomes deeply personal, a way to carry individual courage into the unknown. The corners of the earth only, legend knows. You tread lightly alongside warriors testing trading routes, where a wrongly placed map or misunderstood language becomes the punchline to a shared ordeal, with a happy turn. Journeys where unfamiliar birds call out, their tunes as puzzling as the land beyond, reminding you of the day spent deciphering their calls, which inadvertently ended with mimicry gone wrong and ensuing laughter like sweet venom. Thus, humour shapes itself to life's contours, its cadences threading through the daily rhythms and forming refuges from life's harsher times. It becomes, ultimately, a powerful endurance, an illuminating force revealing the humanity shared across open miles and boundless plains. etched upon storied paths by those who walk them. It is this laughter, in all its diverse hues, that continues to beckon you, encouraging forward steps into the mysteries where both truth and jest await. And there they are, right where history's veil dances in and out of collective memory. Are you with us as the story unfolds further? Your journey with these intrepid nomads reveals that being a warrior is about more than merely wielding a weapon. Among the rolling landscapes and expansive plains, you discover that tactics and strategies, the very heart of nomadic warfare, are as varied as the stars overhead. It's said that fortune favours the bold, but in the world of nomadic warriors, fortune also favours the cunning and the creative. You find yourself immersed in the daily preparations and routines that underpin every successful nomadic campaign. Rather than lines of infantry or the regular phalanx formations of settled armies, these warriors fought with a rhythm and versatility that mirrored the landscape they knew so well. Each attack, each skirmish, was a complex dance with nature as both a companion and adversary. Picture a morning dew-slick meadow turning into a battlefield of sharp mines and sharper spears. One of the core components of their tactical genius was mobility. The landscape, with its capricious open spaces and hidden trails, was both their home and their ally. One could say their playground was the plains, where sudden attacks and swift retreats were not just strategies but survival mechanisms honed over generations. Their tactics included mastering the art of the feigned retreat, a deceptively organized chaos to lure enemies into traps and surprise ambushes. Historians still argue whether such tactics emerged from desperate improvisation or an ingrained military doctrine. Nevertheless, it's clear that the fluid movements of nomadic warriors mimicked the shifting sands and whirling winds. And then there were the horses, majestic, powerful, and indispensable. Mounted combat was a defining feature of nomadic warfare. You feel the earth reverberating beneath you as a band of warriors thunders by, their silhouettes glorious against the rising sun. This partnership between horse and rider is a visible symphony of coordination. Training such steeds begins when both horse and warrior are young, each learning to predict and respond to the other without a pause. This communication made them feared on the battlefield, capable of regrouping faster than any adversary could anticipate. Beyond horses, consider their innovative use of psychological warfare. A tendency to ingeniously exploit their reputation for ferocity often meant the battle was won before it began. Whispered tales of their prowess rushed ahead of them like wind through the tall grass, instilling fear in the hearts of unsuspecting opponents. One favourite tale across campfires tells of a band's disorienting tactic of attacking in eerily coordinated silence, allowing their grim reputation to grow beyond mere fact and flesh. Jest and cunning are never far apart in such company. Some warriors employed the use of deceptive signals, a series of smoke clouds or mirrored flashes designed to conjure phantom troops that haunted the edges of sight. Imagine the confusion of an enemy, confronted with ranks where none existed, battling shadows conjured only by light and smoke. Communal storytelling not only preserved these strategies, but provided a crucial debrief, one that could be spiced with hilarity upon recounting misjudged maneuvers or surprisingly fortuitous outcomes. Through these stories, the wisdom of past escapades bolstered future generations, keeping mistakes light and lessons memorable. A particularly famous tale recounts an incident where the season's first fog rolled in during what was supposed to be an intimidating charge. The warriors inadvertently ended up a few fields off course, leading only to scrumptious pilfering of unattended turnips and a prankster parade, parading the raid's unintended bounty back to their clans, much to widespread howling applause. Technology, too, saw advancement thanks to their unique perspective. Instead of heaviness, you find lighter armor, allowing for agility and speed, making hit-and-run tactics not just possible, but effective. Their bows, smaller yet more powerful and with greater range, complemented this strategy, an emblem of their mastery over both tension and release, letting fly an arrow with exactly the right flourish of skill and timing. Their ingenuity also spurred inventive solutions to practical problems, ranging from the astounding construction of movable yurts for rapid deployment to clever use of hides and natural materials for camouflage. Recall now the inventive tales of warriors crossing hostile territory dressed as traders, skirting conflict and turning potential adversaries into providers. Instances like these are celebrated, transformed into songs that make light of peril and enhance their overflowing archives of warrior lore. In the landscape where boundaries constantly changed and allies shifted, you see how nomadic warriors earned respect not just for who they were, but for how ingeniously they could be who they needed to become. Trailblazers not just across territories, but across the minds of those they faced. And so, the lessons continue, footsteps and hoofbeats echoing through the steppes, each step a potential story waiting to meet the dawn. Amongst these warriors, victory was never assured by mere strength alone, but through the artful orchestration of mobility, wit, and ingenuity. In both conflict and campfire repartee, you look ahead beyond the rumbling horizon where tactics meld seamlessly into new chapters, eager to follow where these paths may lead. Shall we venture forward into stories anew? Set your gaze upon the tapestry of nomadic life as it weaves in threads of mischief and merriment. Among the warriors whose faces are etched with the sun's kisses and the laughter lines from 1,000 chuckles, you find tales of humour and pranks that transcend the ages. These stories are not just about battle, but about the small, everyday triumphs that come wrapped in humour, a levity that binds and breaks tensions, even amid the gravest challenges. Imagine a day where the clan has settled for a brief respite, the air filled with the smoky scent of cooking fires and the familiar, comforting sounds of animals and children playing. It is a day like any other, until a notable prankster among the warriors schemes to bring unexpected delight to the afternoon. His plan involves the unassuming appearance of a trailing quagga, a mischievous tale that echoes with laughter every time the saga is recounted. The warrior sneaks from tent to tent, leaving tokens, small and mysterious, for each member. Pine cones wrapped in colourful cloth with a jestful note, cryptic yet somehow just right for the recipient. Each man and woman dots their respective brow as they ponder what playful spirit has graced them on this idle day. Historians still argue whether these pranks were mere folly or clever means to elucidate character, creating bonds strengthened through common joy and shared mystery. Pranks and humour find fertile ground among the warriors' ranks, showcasing not only their capacity for combat, but for cultivating community. Recall the infamous incident of the Phantom Thief, a practical joke designed to bring light-hearted chaos. Unsuspecting, a revered elder awakes within the yurt, where his valuables seem to have grown mischievously animate. Wooden carvings replaced by dried fish, his comb conspicuously full of twine, gales of laughter erupt as the clan gathers to witness his comic inductions into temporary loss. There's a subtle artistry in these jestful endeavours. A favourite tactic involves disguising unsuspecting items with alarming accuracy. Picture pulling back the edges of a bedroll, only for it to be swapped with slumbering felines. The switch orchestrated by nimble fingers under night's velvet shroud, the startled jump inevitably yields to peals of laughter, the humour woven with delightful disbelief and camaraderie. Key tenets of life on the move. Humour does, indeed, serve profound purposes, softening rough edges and coaxing cooperation where discord might otherwise thrive. One story tells of a tribal gathering meant to forge new alliances. As the council commences, a rambunctious youth decides to liven up the proceedings. Disguised as a solemn messenger, he introduces fictitious mandates, cooked up to tease and poke good-hearted fun at wrestlings and hierarchy. Instead of anger, laughter builds bridges. A reminder that well-timed jest shapes diplomacy into an art of itself. Catch the sparkle of eyes as the warriors exchange knowing glances, each mirth-laden story nurturing bonds deeper than forged metal. Imagine an offhand boast transformed into a grand duel of pretenses. One particularly memorable battle involves two warriors contesting to catch the most wind-blown feathers in upturned helmets. The contests morphing into riotous revelry as the silliness sweeps up the spectating masses. Crafting these pranks demands creativity, a resource as valuable as any material possession, generating an unspoken camaraderie that underscores every shared challenge and success. Warriors are known to sprinkle humour into the very fabric of their stories, every joke a reflection and testament to enduring adaptability. For example, an abandoned well becomes the famed watering hole of tales that got away, each new traveller outdoing previous inventiveness with ever-increasing creativity and comedy. Their legacies are thus imbued with more than just physical prowess. These bards of jest lend even the harshest spins of fate a burnished glow, using laughter as lanterns against vexing darkness. Here, friendships are sealed with no grand decree, but through ingeniously playful acts that twine their experiences into collective memory, a tapestry that's ever welcoming, never complete. The chuckles of a prank linger not only around campfires, but also in the minds of those you're journeying alongside. It resonates in the shared laughter, the occasional raised eyebrow, the warmth of knowing today's jest will ring merrily in tomorrow's tales. Life, after all, they reveal, is too profound not to jest, too precious not to hold lightly. You've been regaled with these tales of mirth, storied with the backbone of camaraderie and trust. They energize, reminding you of the shared experience of wanderlust. As the sun dips below the sea of endless grass and wind the tapestry stretches onward, the stories unfolding in endless marathons, unknown futures meshing with myth and memory. Shall we continue to stride, where humour beckons, where laughter trails the steadfast and the brave? As daylight spills across the plains, you witness the remarkable bond between nomadic warriors and their steeds, a relationship as ancient as it is profound. Riders and horses move as one, their silhouettes highlighted against the tapestry of the early morning sky, echoing tales of harmony and mutual reliance. Among these steadfast companions, where the pounding of hooves marks time and distance, you begin to understand how integral horses are not only to the nomads' existence, but to their identity as warriors. Step into their world, where mounted combat transforms the battlefield into a dynamic chessboard, each warrior a master strategist in motion. The horses, revered as colleagues more than mere beasts, are trained from a young age, learning the unspoken cues in tandem with their human counterparts. This uncanny partnership between man and horse grows out of respect and endurance, nurturing a silent language encoded with the rhythm of the ride. A language revealing not just paths, but stories of friendship and survival across ages. Historians still argue whether the horses influenced nomadic strategy, or if strategy moulded the horses. But in the dust swirled by galloping legs, it's evident these mounts are more than mere thread in their war fabric. They are the woven art itself, layered in muscle and movement. Imagine riders executing complex maneuvers with an elegance born of centuries, tactics rapidly conceived and executed with the ease only achievable through such seamless cooperation. Woven into this cooperation is more than just efficiency. There's an abiding humour that unfolds beneath the canopy of shared journeys, much like that hidden beneath the surface of practiced solemnity. Imagine a scene in which a proud warrior begrudgingly chastises his horse for stealing unattended treats, only for the creature to toss its head with what resembles disdainful amusement. Such quirks add to the tapestry of daily interactions, weaving humour into tales of companionship. But make no mistake, for there's strategy behind these equine partnerships. Tactics unfurl like war banners across the steppes, where speed and agility become the cornerstone of effective battle plans. The horses are the chariots of change, able to turn the tide of armed strife in ways even the greatest foot soldier cannot. Watch as a clever, feigned retreat draws enemies into ambush, warrior and stallion together turning an escape into a rallying cry for victory. The impact of these interactions stretches beyond mere warfare into realms of myth and legend. Fringing the bond between warrior and steed are stories whispered among campfires, tales where horses show uncanny sagacity, often rescuing their riders from certain doom. Recall the tale of a horseman separated from the caravan, found wanting in both direction and dignity. It was his loyal mare who allegedly nudged him awake from unsanctioned slumber, guiding him back home before misfortune could claim its dubious price. Humour runs parallel to these legends, driving camaraderie with each measured gallop. Warriors often engage in races, the losers required to entertain their fellows with theatrical recounts of their faux pas or stallion-inspired antics. Perhaps it's the story of a rider-wise woman who wagered a year's worth of sweets against a repaint of her tent in royal-claimed hues if her steed couldn't outrace the trickster hare of law. Unsurprisingly, the wager lingers in community memory, though the details may dance under the influence of expressive tongues. Equally captivating are the moments at day's zenith, when horse and rider pause under a sun that bathes the world in gold. Here, an uncanny humour winds through daily routine as warriors converse playfully with their steeds, verbal inflections resembling banter more than command. Perhaps it's this playfulness, this mutual respect that allows each partner to instinctively know the other's instinctive reactions, a skilled dance practiced across endless planes and time. With this companionship arises a curiosity, a sense of wonder and respect across cultural exchanges, with tribes and towns encountered along the road. These interconnections weave pathways of understanding, turning traders into allies, jesters into diplomats, fueling an ever-expanding trove of shared experiences and laughter. The outcome might be a derisive horse's wink, or a warrior's feigned despair as yet another makeshift campfire encapsulates resilience, turning stories into cherished memories. This relationship between nomads and their horses speaks not only of survival but of a co-evolution marked by friendship and occasional mischief. These aren't just means to travel, they are storied sentinels of shared journeys. Each rhythmic beat of hooves against earth writes yet another chapter, a chapter where ingenuity finds its counterpoint in laughter, moulded by endurance and driven forward by the whims and wonders of companionship. Shall we continue forward, where steeds carve paths of opportunities and adventures into the very terrain of time? As you continue along the path of the nomadic warriors, you find yourself drawn into the enigmatic world of rituals and superstitions, a realm where daily life and the mystical intermingle. It's a world filled with ceremonies that echo, like whispers carried on the wind, across vast landscapes and through the ages. Each ritual is a rhythmic dance of tradition and mystery, where the flickering shadows of firelight bring not only warmth, but the timeless cadence of the unknown. Step into the heart of the camp, where preparations are in full swing for an evening ritual. The air is rich with the scent of herbs, earthy and pungent, gathered carefully from the embrace of the wild. Sounds of song and laughter wrap around you, as vibrant as the colours adorning the warrior's attire. These are not just moments of solemnity, but celebratory events where humour often threads through ages. Old practices striking a balance between gravitas and whimsy. Consider a particularly captivating ritual designed to invoke the favour of the spirits toward a bountiful season of hunting. Warriors adorn themselves with elaborate headpieces fashioned from branches and feathers, faces masked with pigments mimicking the day's twilight hues. And yet, the solemnity shifts as one of them finds the sacred dyes swapped with ash-infused paint, courtesy of a watchful prankster, resulting in subdued chuckles and vibrant displays of spirit-induced joviality. Historians still argue whether such playful interludes were deliberate accents to proceedings or mischievous deflections of heightened anticipation. The deep connection with nature plays into these practices, inviting the elements to join the gathering. Fire, an element revered for its transformative abilities, often forms a central pillar. Its crackling dialogue with the earth symbolizes both communion and continuity, engaging community and cosmos alike. In one ritual, warriors toss sticks marked with their greatest ambitions into the flames, a blaze of aspiration and acceptance. Sometimes a warrior feigns dejection when his stick curiously finds its path not into the sacred flames, but straight into a pot of simmering stew, while companions assure him it's a favourable sign, pointing to a particularly fulfilling meal ahead. Rituals are not solely for communication with the divine, but offer protection against the day's challenges, those visible and unseen. Amulets, often crafted from twigs, stones, or braided hair, are imbued with personal affirmations worn close to heart and skin. A particularly unassuming stone marked with indessumable glyphs becomes the butt of many jokes, a warrior claiming it redirects bad luck to a companion's tent. Collectively, they chuckle while secretly pondering its uncanny effects. Superstitions play their part by turning the mundane into mischievous yet meaningful exchanges. The practice of planting flags atop yurts to assure blessings or deterrence of ill. Flags left absent during grand travels are met with jest, and tales of quixotic wanderers constantly losing their way to curious gusts of misfortune. Now known as a wind's wink, each flutter of fabric etches another thread into the collective memory, reminding them that fate can be guided with both a prayer and a playful nudge. Many of these rich traditions are guarded fervently by the elders, keepers of tales and libations, whose eyes twinkle with wisdom and mirth, weaving the new with the ageless. You watch them regale children with stories as lively as their woven garments, their wisdom acting as both map and compass. The ancient tales spun at each twilight carry laughter, heritage, and caution, wrapped in disguise as humour. Among these rituals, shared belief becomes not binding but bonding, breathing life into individual stories, each a unique refrain in nature and spirit's vast chorus. A song of not just survival, but celebration, enticing whispers of wind, laughter, and understanding. Like the stars that pin their hopes faithfully on the night sky, these rituals and superstitions become anchors. They serve as reminders that while the world remains uncertain, community offers continuity. This journey, etched in both time's fleeting and enduring moments, shows us that humour and humility stand as dual pillars of strength, safeguards against shadows both real and imagined. So as you stand enveloped in the light of ancient fires and tales, laughter shared among companions past and present, you sense the beckoning pull of mystery's horizon stretching ever onward. It promises more stories, more laughter, and the ageless rhythm of life in the nomadic fold. Will you venture further, where humour and history blend beneath star-riddled skies? In the light of the rising sun, you find yourself amidst the ever-shifting dynamics of tribe rivalries, where alliances are as fluid as the streams that meander through the landscape. Here, beneath the vast ceiling of the open sky, you can almost hear echoes of laughter mingling with the murmurs of ancient disputes and tales of feuding clans whose boundaries blur with each passing breeze. The air is charged with the thrill of competition and camaraderie. Rivals whose lives intertwine on both battlefield and banquet engage in a continuous dance of affection and antagonism. These rivalries, far from being grim tales of animosity, frequently unfold as engaging narratives imbued with an unmistakable undertone of humour. Consider a meeting between two rival tribes that had been butting heads over prime grazing land. Instead of violence, one tribe invites the other to a feast, cleverly disguised as an opportunity to resolve the tension. As the night unfolds and mead flows freely, the warriors transition from wary adversaries to merry minstrels engaging in playful banter. Imagine their haughty laughter booming through the air as they exchange jokes about each other's rather dubious choices in hair adornments. Ostentatious feathers, sometimes best left to the birds. Historians still argue whether such gatherings were sincere attempts at peace or merely ways to spin rivalry into something more bearable, laced with humour and mead. Each tribe has its signature quirks, creating a delightful and vibrant tapestry of community interactions. Picture the infamous Great Yurt Swap, where, under the guise of a night raid, two rival tribes swapped the fronts and interiors of their chieftains' tents. A laborious practical jest that resulted in confusion and laughter as the chieftains wandered their own yurts, remarking on the unexpectedly peculiar decor choices. This incident is retold at gatherings with a tone mixing admiration with mischief, celebrating both the audacity and unity forged in humour. At horse races, another favoured spectacle, rivalries gallop into playful high stakes. Often a thigh-slap measure of camaraderie transformed into feats of humorous finesse. The races themselves become the stage for competitive rivalries peppered with jokes, simultaneously laudable and roguish, transforming pranks into layered parables. One tribe, famed for elaborate chariot designs resembling more floating kitchens than war machines, often sees their competitive entry unexpectedly serviced by unknown culinary support, leading to bewildered victories hailed by amused spectators. Sometimes, in their zeal to outwit each other, tribes create collaborations that become legendary feats of collective ingenuity. One notable instance tells of the Foam Festival, aimed at mocking their neighbours' penchant for frothy soaps. Through careful engineering and logistical prowess, an entire hoard of foam was clandestinely delivered atop rival tents in the night, resulting in both laughter and awe as tribes clambered amidst statuesque suds. Onlookers marvel at the wit and cleverness, each alliance tested as much by trickery as by tradition. But rivalries have deeper roots, capable of arching away from jest into heritage. Festivals brimming with music and craft foster not just competition but reciprocal adoption of customs. For instance, a dance exchanged, gestures mimed as microcosms of shared identities. This exchange manifests as a binding force even as they delight in eccentric contests culminating in bursts of shared laughter, a universal language that eases tensions and fortifies ties among communities in unison. Even children, keen observers of adult dramatics, partake in their own miniature versions of tribal contests. They invent games echoing long-standing rivalries, turning clods of earth and wooden swords into momentous affairs. Sometimes the boundary between jest and earnestness blurs, as when a child's tumble is treated as a momentous achievement, celebrated with enthusiastic jest, a legacy of laughter underpinning generations to come. Thus, amid rivalries often resembling familial squabbles, humour provides a focal point, ensuring that even amidst disagreements, the unity of shared story persists. These rivalries become pithy tales of cunning and companionship, told over weaving firesides where laughter erases bitterness, leaving behind only the honeyed warmth of alliance. As the sun dips beneath verdant ridges, painting the sky with hues only nature could conceive, you witness the synergy and humour threading these rivalries into enduring bonds stronger than reed and sinew. They beckon you further into the tapestry of laughter and legacy, of jest and unity stretching high into the waiting sky. Are you ready, then, to continue this journey where humour guides the way amid the rivalry's rich embrace? As you delve deeper into the world of these nomadic warriors, you encounter how humour plays a pivotal role in diplomacy, a clever tool wielded as deftly as any sword. In this timeless dance of tribes and territories, where allegiances shift like the sands beneath restless steeds, laughter often bridges chasms that years of conflict could not. Picture a sunlit gathering where chieftains from rival tribes meet on neutral ground. The atmosphere is charged not with tension, but with anticipation, as ingenious humour is used to forge bonds and diffuse potential hostilities. The smell of roasting meats lingers in the air, mingling with the scent of fermented mare's milk, an acquired taste but an integral part of sealing any significant agreement. And here you can see how tribes manage to turn potential disputes into opportunities for levity. Imagine a warrior, known for his quick wit and silver tongue, standing amidst the gathered leaders, regaling them with stories of times when negotiations led to embarrassing mix-ups and fortuitous outcomes. Once, during a particularly contentious meeting, his skilled use of humour turned what seemed an imminent dispute over boundary lines into a shared joke about how even clouds refuse to adhere to such invisible lines. Historians still argue whether humour in diplomacy was an indigenous strategy or a fortuitous byproduct of necessity, but evidence of laughter underwriting peace accords is plentiful. With humour comes humility, and warriors find it surprisingly effective at softening hard views. The exchange of light-hearted barbs offers outlets for tension and showcases the diplomacy inherent in shared humanity. Each jest, spoken in good humour, is a reminder that beneath the ornate cloaks and war gear are people with aspirations, dreams, and most importantly, a shared sense of humour. A famous episode tells of two tribes on the brink of war over grazing rights, when a wandering minstrel interrupted discussions with an exaggerated song about stubborn goats and woolly sheep who refused to negotiate. Their mimicry spread laughter across the assembly like wildfire, and the shared mirth facilitated dialogue that culminated in the formation of neutral zones and mutual grazing benefits. These tales, woven into everyday life, become the fabric of diplomatic strategy, rich with wit and offering reconciliation. Such gatherings often end with deliberate theatrical performances where resident comedians mock their own tribulations, playing out caricatures of tribal leaders quarrelling over increasingly ridiculous issues, such as the precise shade of cavalry horsetails. This playful mirroring allows leaders to glimpse themselves through the lens of comedy, embracing their faults and follies, laughing together at the absurdity of conflict. Humour also fosters shared rituals, where rival factions find common ground in traditions. Consider the mock tournament stage to settle disputes, where feats of comedic prowess outweigh feats of strength. Competitions such as Chicken Chase Chariot roll across the plains, wherein drivers and riders, children adorned with mismatched armour and colourful plumes, race their chariots, occasional chickens yoked to empty frames, to uproarious applause and cunning embellishment, rendering smiles the ultimate victor. Even in negotiations with settled communities, humour acts as both a shield and a bridge. Tales circulate of warriors entering settlements accorded the title Lord of Laughter, suggesting respect and drawing crowds eager to indulge in wordplay and share in jokes about urban smugness, contrasted with nomadic fortitude. A symbolic exchange challenging biases and nurturing understanding. Through it all, humour remains a universal solvent that turns rigid facades into flexible relationships, where discussions trundle like the playful frolic of quagga colts. It forges ties stronger than iron, farming goodwill where spears sought to sprout dissent, and seeding shared understanding in the fertile terrains of human kindness. Empowered by these whimsical exchanges, you watch as humor breathes life into age-old customs, turning foes into friends, laughter echoing across the evening as campfires glint and new stories take shape beneath flickering shadows. These lessons endow diplomacy not just with stratagems, but with joy, showing how laughter's echoes carry farther than the footfalls of contention. As the ever-changing horizon beckons once more, ready to reveal yet more landscapes of laughter and lore within realms of rough negotiation and merry reconciliation, you find yourself eager for the journey ahead. Are you prepared to continue? To see where humour threads its influence amid the dusty pages of uncharted treaties and tribulations? As the sun dips beneath the horizon, painting the sky a deep indigo, you find yourself drawn into the heart of the nomadic family, awaiting the jubilant return of their warriors. The sweet promise of reunion hangs thick in the air, a tapestry woven with anticipation and the vibrant threads of stories to be shared. In the cool of the evening, as laughter gathers like a warm embrace around the campsite, you see the scene unfold. The warriors returning to their tribes, not just as guardians, but as brothers, fathers, and friends. Picture the homecoming, an event ripe with exuberance and joy. The warriors' return is heralded by the distant thunder of hooves, plumes of dust swirling in their wake like the rush of countless shared adventures. It's a sound that quickens the heartbeat and pulls children to the fringes of the encampment, eyes wide with excitement. The wind carries fragments of their journeys, tales woven into the very fabric of the clothes they wear, each torn seam and patch a story unto itself. The scent of fresh-baked bread mingles with the earthiness of the hearth, kindling memories as much as it stirs appetites. Family and friends gather in the central yurt, the smiles of those who stayed behind reflecting the unspoken resilience that sustained them in absence. Here, amid the scattered seating mats and eager faces, the warmth of humorous exchange reigns supreme. A balm for those long separated, now joyously reunited. The children, wide-eyed and bouncing with excitement, reach out, pulling at leather belts and woolen tunics, begging for stories of heroics and hijinks. Imagine a warrior kneeling, eyes twinkling as he recounts tales not just of battles won, but of travels. Sensibly exaggerated for effect, there's the story of a daring rescue, pretty much orchestrated by a rogue marmot that mistook the camp's food supply for its kingdom. A recount met with disbelief and mirth, sparking giggles among the gathered youth. The warriors' tales, spun with gleeful exaggeration, serve not only to entertain but to teach. Through humour, lessons are imparted and wisdom disguised within laughter. A warrior might recount the day he thought he glimpsed a ghostly apparition along the river, only to realise it was his own reflection in an improbable light trick. This anecdote serves as an amusing reminder that even seasoned warriors sometimes battle the phantoms of their own making, a tale the younglings take to heart amid peals of laughter. Festivities punctuate these evenings, the beats of drumming reverberating through the encampment. Warriors and their families engage in dances that paint shadows on the surrounding ground, the rhythm both light-hearted and profound. Dances tell stories in themselves, of chases and captures, victories snatched from the jaws of defeat, oftentimes deliberately inviting missteps and laughter as young and old share the floor. Interwoven with these celebrations are games, equally rollicking and humorous. Competitions with slingshots targeting a row of misaligned gourds provide both challenge and amusement. A favourite anecdote involves a particularly skilled yet flamboyant warrior who, in his eagerness to impress, manages to hit every target except one, which promptly retaliates by rolling straight into an awaiting stew pot, a victory for humour rather than skill, celebrated with roaring approval around the fire. As the night grows into its own, the tales told blend seamlessly with the constellations, myths swirling with the warmth of shared experience. There's the story of a warrior's encounter with a particularly elusive horse, only discovering its unusual affinity for cheese and how it only pranced free with a well-placed morsel. Such stories, with humour as their guide, capture the essence of experience, the blending of tradition and novelty. Humour injects these gatherings with an indelible sense of belonging, where vulnerabilities are embraced in jest and triumph celebrated with equal levity. The return becomes a reclaiming of identity, as laughter infuses ties of kinship with enduring strength, emboldening them to face futures unknown. Such is the power present in these homecomings, where the echo of shared amusements lingers like embers, illuminating paths once more as days turn anew. as you turn to leave this scene of joy. A reminder that when warriors return, they bring not just tales wrapped in humour, but the bonds that sew together the human spirit. You sense the future unfurling ahead. Shall we continue forward, exploring more corners where humour casts its ancient benevolent light? As you journey further into the world of the nomadic tribes, something familiar calls from the heart of the camp. A melody of voices that rises and falls, like the whisper of the wind through the grasslands, drawing everyone from their tasks to gather in expectant circles. Here you find the storytellers and jesters, those revered custodians of culture who transform ordinary evenings into chapters of wonder and whimsy. These masters of oratory possess a unique gift, using humour as the canvas upon which stories of valour and hilarity are vividly painted. You settle in among the circle of listeners, the flickering fire casting playful shadows on eager faces. The air is seasoned with anticipation as a storyteller stands, eyes glinting with the reflective wisdom of the many tales ready to be shared. With a flourish, the storyteller begins, the rich timbre of their voice knitting the crowd into a single unit of rapt attention. Tonight, the tale is about a famed warrior, not known for might but for mirth, whose exploits are the stuff of legend. It is said that this warrior, dubbed the Laughing Wolf, once outwitted an entire brigade not with artillery but with artistry. Disguising his band as spectres, covered head to toe in bleached cloaks, scaring the opposition into a comical but hasty retreat. As the jester artfully recounts the tale, laughter runs through the crowd like a river, buoying spirits and reminding all that intellect and humour hold power over brute force. Historians still argue whether these storytellers were the true architects behind disputes resolved or alliances formed, but their role as instigators of reflection through laughter was undeniable. Each tale they spun blurred the line between reality and myth, carving lessons out of absurdities and lodging wisdom like seeds into the fertile listener mindscapes. The jester joins the performance, a colourful character whose antics transcend language, speaking instead through exaggerated gestures and countless pratfalls. Picture the jesters darting nimbly among the warriors, mirroring their movements with exaggerated animations, turning the stoicism of mighty warriors into the kind of ridiculousness that only humour permits. In such moments, differences dissolve, and status is reduced to the shared camaraderie of laughter, as hearty and universal as any battlefield cry. Their performances, part tradition, part improvisation, foster a space where shyness is the only foe defeated with unbounded laughter. Each tale possesses a life of its own, evolving with every retelling. One moment you hear about a young warrior who mistook the medicine tent for a weapons cache, and chaos ensued, leading to an unforgettable, albeit unintended, transaction between spears and sabres. This mistake, fortuitously embarrassing, becomes layered with sagacity as listeners recognize the importance of mindfulness in even the smallest tasks. Through the words of the storytellers and the antics of the jesters, humour becomes a guide for navigating challenges, transforming the harsh realities of nomadic life into shared narratives that inspire courage and resilience. Under their tutelage, the encampment becomes a school where lessons are taught not with rote, but with role. Their rhythmic deliveries carve pathways back to a time when giant beasts roamed and heroes emerged from obscurity. These mesmerizing tales swirl within the incense-scented air like ghostly echoes, bridging epochs and uniting generations. Lessons from long-forgotten battles live as living cinema, each line curated with deft imagination and pitched humour. As the storytelling crescendos, merging with the crackling fires and shared chuckles, something profound stirs. The realization of connectedness, of unity. It is a powerful reminder that beneath the jest lies wisdom, deeply embedded, awaiting discovery by those ready to look beyond the laughter. In the reflected light of merriment, you understand the significance of these woven tales, the resilience they foster, celebrating the strength and spirit of each individual brought together under the grand umbrella of narrative. And so, as the last story fades into the soft footfalls of retreating jesters, lulled by the sleepy hum of crackling embers, you realize this journey's pulse marches onward. It invites exploration into tales unresolved, humour that yields unexpected insight with each retelling. Shall we yet continue, guided by laughter, along the braided path of tales yet to come? Weaving through the heart of nomadic life, where sustenance becomes the daily rhythm you find yourself drawn to the elusive yet grounding element of nutrition. Here, in the midst of rugged warriors and their families, the art of feeding goes beyond mere survival. It is a theatre of flavours, improvisation and, inevitably, humour. Imagine a scene where the day begins with the scent of smoke rising lazily from cooking fires, mingling with the earthy aroma of the morning dew. Everywhere around the camp, meals are being prepared with meticulous care, each ingredient a testament to the resilience and resourcefulness of the nomads. You find them utilising every resource they can forage, savvy in their ability to transform the simplest components into meals that both nourish the body and feed the spirit. Consider the mainstay of their diet. Plentiful stews that simmer throughout the day, the contents often undecipherable to outsiders, but cherished among the tribe. These stews, aromatic with whatever herbs and proteins are on hand, draw everyone close with their rich warmth and flavour. Imagine a warrior recounting the moment when an untimely sneeze led to a liberally peppered pot, adding unexpected zest and inspiring a new recipe for the sneeze's delight, enthusiastically replicated with laughter ever since. Historians still argue whether such accidents were the birth of culinary ingenuity or born of necessity. Yet they undoubtedly contributed to a vibrant and varied palate. Amidst these culinary practices, you observe the creative ways in which humour threads itself through their culinary narrative. Picture an adventurous warrior boasting of tasting the famed war camel's hump delicacy, only to later discover it was calf ribs disguised by local pranksters. This jest becomes part of camp lore, a reminder to approach new flavours with both curiosity and skepticism, a wise lesson couched in humour. There are also less savoury parts to foraging, often met with resigned humour rather than disdain. Consider how warriors, when faced with scant ingredients or when trying to eke out an existence in barren lands, concoct emergency delicacies that might involve combinations like wild truffle-flavoured beetles, a dubious yet efficient substitute in lean times. Stories circulate of the bartered bravery involved in tasting such dishes, emphasised by retellings of elaborate face-pulling competitions among the bravest or most gullible. Leaning closer, you observe the role of communal efforts where everyone contributes to the meal, engendering a sense of unity. Clan members come together to make flatbreads, impromptu desserts crafted from foraged fruits, and dried meats bearing the tang of honey and herbs. It's through these collective endeavours that alliances are formed, and humour often arises from shared blunders. A batch overbaked or a misplaced seasoning concoction turned legendary with laughter. In a society constantly on the move, the ability to adapt and find humour in the unexpected becomes crucial. It shines particularly during trade expeditions, where bartering for salt, spices, or exotic meats often leads to humorous tales. One memorable negotiation involved blaming a deviously slippery eel for the disappearance of a particularly fine fur, a ruse concocted on the spot by a trader with a silken tongue and a twinkle in his eye. Meals around the fire are more than nourishment. They're social feasts where everyone gathers to exchange stories. Here, the very act of eating becomes intertwined with the recounted adventures of the day. These are opportunities where one can excuse a hasty retreat with "my yak is boiling," eliciting giggles from those gathered who know that somewhere, perhaps, a yak stew simmers beyond their immediate reach. And so, each bite of life is enveloped in stories and jest, feeding more than just the body. It rejuvenates the soul, nurturing the bonds that keep the tribe together. Through shared meals and shared laughter, emerging from leaf-wrapped surprises and fire-roasted mysteries, you find an indelible link between sustenance and spirit. It's a reminder that in times of plenty and want, humour remains a constant, sweetening not just the honey but the whole of human experience. Having savoured the flavours of nomadic life, those that nourish with sustenance and levity, you feel the call of the journey continue to guide your path. The tale of tastes, like stories, beckons eternally onward. Are you ready to follow where humour and heritage blend once more into the tapestry of time? As the sun begins its descent and shadows stretch long across the plains, you find yourself drawn irresistibly toward the warm glow of the campfires that dot the nomadic landscape. It is here, in these flickering circles of light, that stories come alive, spun with a deftness that turns the ordinary into the legendary. You settle comfortably among the assembled tribe, the crackling fire providing both heat and a rhythm that beats harmoniously with the flow of words and shared laughter. Nightfall ushers in an ambience ripe for tales, an atmosphere electric with possibility. The scent of wood smoke mingles with the earthy aroma of the gathered crowd, a comforting blend that encircles you like the embrace of an old friend. Each voice that rises builds a connection to the past, weaving a tapestry of narrative that binds the listeners in a shared dream. The evening's entertainment is an art form, the stories born from a fusion of history and imagination. Picture a grizzled warrior recounting an adventure that began with a simple task, gathering water. Yet instead of a mundane routine, it devolves into a series of comedic events involving slippery banks, errant ducks, and a particularly stubborn otter with a fondness for collecting and stealing jesters' bells. Laughter ramifies across the circle, illustrating the resilience born from recognizing the humor in everyday hurdles. Historians still argue whether these nighttime tales are embellished truth or entirely fanciful fiction, but the truth is irrelevant to the lessons they teach. Tales of bravery serve to inspire the hearts of young warriors, instilling a spirit of adventure tempered with humor, a reminder that even the gravest circumstances can come with a humorous twist. In these stories, animals often play key roles, embodying both wisdom and mischief. One particularly beloved tale features a cleverly adventurous fox that outwits not only a band of warriors, but an entire camp. In chasing it, they discover a hidden cache of berries on the eve of a festival. A happy accident that leads to a feast and new legend shared with mirth. Humorous tales of sly creatures and hapless humans remind listeners of nature's playful side, teaching respect and insight balanced with a hearty chuckle. These gatherings also serve as spaces for listeners to engage, adding their own voices and transforming stories into interactive theatres. Warriors offer their exaggerated versions of incidents, jettisoning solemnity and instead celebrating success with the tinkle of jest. A tale of a nocturnal march interrupted by the spine-tingling call of an unseen creature might yield gales of laughter as participants guess its identity, ranging from the mysterious monstrous owlbear to the perfectly ordinary barn owl. Aside from these wild tales, there are quieter moments etched in candlelight, where the love of family and friends illumines against the inevitability of time's passage. Songs born of longing and loss ripple alongside those yet unknown. Sweet with nostalgia and tinted with humour, often they conclude with gentle jokes that dispel melancholy, as when a warrior's lovesick lament inadvertently reunites him with his mischievous wayward yak, his cries having been mistaken for birth calls. An enduring twist passed through generations. For those gifted with song, voice becomes a conduit for stories, with melodies strung tight by rhythm and rhyme. Choruses sung in unison enfold the night, shared history set to rhythm that echoes back into the earth and sky, reminding everyone under the stars that their current journey is part of a vast, interconnected narrative interlacing past and future. As the evening wears on, bodies lean toward the gentle warmth of dwindling flames, faces relax into contented smiles. One by one, the figures slip into the embrace of slumber, the comfort of soft furs wrapping around them as the stories gently guide them into dreams. And even as the fire's final embers fade into night, the stories and the humour remain kindled in hearts, solemn vows transformed into lighter echoes that welcome tomorrow. These campfires are not just moments in time, they are timeless circles connecting people through laughter and storytelling. Echoing through the eddies of history, they carry the wonder of the nomadic journey, inviting those who gather in their embrace to weave laughter once more into the story of their lives. With the tales of the night renewing your spirit, the journey calls you onward to the next dawn's canvas, ready for more woven wonders and the humour that infuses each step. Shall we continue this pilgrimage of mirth, where every twilight promises a tale more fantastic than the last? Into the luminescent glow of the stars, you begin to appreciate the roles and wit of women in the nomadic tribes, whose presence and prowess are as pivotal as the landscapes they traverse. Within the encampment, you see that women's contributions extend beyond the traditional, into a domain where humour, resilience and wisdom coalesce to craft the very essence of tribal life. As morning light peeks over the horizon, casting a golden sheen over the world, the camp awakens at an easy pace, stirred by the melodies and laughter that ripple through the tents. You observe women skillfully weaving, sewing and preparing meals, each task punctuated by friendly banter and sharp wit that surfaces like sun-dappled currents in a vibrant stream. Their humour, both gentle and biting, stitches their community together, forging bonds that surpass the ordinary. Let into a yurt where a group of women gathers to engage in an age-old tradition: spinning yarn. Yet it's more than wool and spindle. It is stories spun from laughter and legend. Imagine one storyteller evoking a tale about a cunning woman who turned her legendary charm into a tool that resolved disputes by inciting chuckles rather than challenges, and how a delicately implied hairstyle criticism slyly altered the course of talks. Historians still argue whether these stories were pure invention or historical embellishments, but in those moments you're immersed in the narratives where shrewdness wields more influence than a sharpened blade. It is here, within the textured beats of laughter, that women exhibit mastery, their tales lauded by the tribe as benchmarks of savvy diplomacy. These gatherings reveal the deftness with which humour is used to navigate complexities within the encampment. A cleverly barbed quip or wry observation sharpens conversation, compelling listeners to reconsider biases and assumptions. One oft-recounted story features a woman who, faced with indecisive listens, quipped that they must have eaten the overcooked yak the way they chew through words, prompting hilarity and hastening solutions. Women also captivate with their unforgettable roles as healers, where nurturing and humorous patter combine into a comforting salve, for nothing soothes forever like a well-timed jest. Picture the scene where a healer might mischievously berate a warrior recovering from a self-inflicted minor injury by saying, "You thought you were vanquishing foes, yet it seems your own soup pot proved more lethal." Beyond words, the multi-layered humour finds expression in rituals where women lead through dance and song, each movement weaving narratives that illustrate unity and mirth. As dusk falls, these captivating performances change the camp's very atmosphere, spinning tales and laughter into the fabric of memory, binding community and history. Witness the central role women hold in educating younger generations, the guiding light of humour drawing children toward understanding through mimicry and play, where roles often reverse, and the young mimic exaggerated adult exchanges. In these acts, hilarity punctuates wisdom, and traditions perpetuate themselves in unforeseen creativity. The ensuing giggles enforce vim and mnemonic rhyme, a testament to how humour indeed scaffolds lessons and admiration, safeguarding heritage within its embrace. And it doesn't end at narrative. The light-hearted puzzle-solving games, complex yet charming, propelled by laughter and challenge, draw inquisitive minds forward. Subtle jokes permeate exchanges, where women match wits with wily ingenuity, their humour shaping stories whose truths endure, empowering all who hear them. The strength of humour goes beyond simple jest. It resides where courage meets contagious joy, in these linked moments of lightness that build the narrative sinew-binding nomadic spirits. The women's realm, radiant and resilient, merges with the tapestry of life, as naturally as starlight with night. These are not just moments. These are storytelling epochs, repeated in whispered shadows, teaching futures not merely how to live, but how to laugh alongside adversity. As step by step, night by night, humour bends the struggles into bonds unbroken, crafting the verses of journey and jest into heritage's sleeve. Now, with your exposure to their vibrant roles, you feel the pull of ongoing adventure echo in shared stories awaiting your presence. Let us continue weaving into yet more corners where laughter leads the way, enchantingly embedding itself into an ever-growing anthology of collective nomadic existence. Shall we explore further, where humour blazes trails amid stars and kin alike? As the day unfolds in a swirl of activity, you find yourself woven into the lively tapestry of trade, a cornerstone of nomadic life, where humorous misadventures often embellish the otherwise serious business of barter and exchange. Here, amidst the clamour of voices and vibrant displays of goods, the marketplace hums with a rhythm of its own, each interaction tinged with the potential for light-hearted banter and comedic missteps. Picture yourself standing at the edge of an encampment newly adorned to welcome a visiting tribe believed to offer rare textiles and fragrant spices. The air is rich with anticipation and the tantalizing scent of possibilities. Each stall a treasure trove of hopeful trade painted against the backdrop of nomadic ingenuity. In this place of economic vitality, you observe trade as an artful dance where humour becomes both currency and negotiation's nimblest partner. Imagine the scene where warriors serve as diplomats dressed in their finest, exhibiting not just wares but witticisms. Among them, a seasoned trader begins to weave a tale about his prized possession, an heirloom pot said to have once belonged to the laziest yak rider, infamous for his incessant siestas. His tale, told with flair and accompanied by exaggerated gestures, brings forth smiles and a willingness among the listeners to engage and barter. The pot just an object, yes, but the story? Priceless. Historians still argue whether these fanciful tales are woven from threads of truth or pure imagination. Yet what remains is their value in softening negotiations. In these moments, the humour eases mistrust, unravelling defences with each shared laugh, transforming wary newcomers into comrades exploring the stories hidden behind their wares. However, the trade is not without its mischievous loops and turns, instances where humour underscores the universality of human foolishness and cunning. Recall a story of an eager young trader who, in his zeal to impress, managed to confuse measurements, trading a pile of what he believed to be rich spices for 7 hens, later discovered to be liberally dusted with river silt. Whereas any sense of deception dissolves into laughter, the prank serves as an amused reminder of novice enthusiasm meeting seasoned pragmatism. Such exchanges are punctuated by running jokes among traders who mock their own exaggerations. Enjoy listening to how the gold-lined feather archetype became camp legend, representing the exquisitely embellished item that never bears the weight of its tale. Around each marketplace yurt, stories of brilliantly comic negotiations bounce around like music, each echo drawing others in to share or witness the colourful pantomime of trade. The culture of bartering within these trades transcends physical goods, often celebrating the exchange of humour itself. For example, an oft-repeated cliché, never barter with the stone-faced elder, unless ready to relinquish half an evening's laughter alongside whatever goats were planned in exchange. This nickname, born from an impenetrable smile and deep-bellied chuckles, remains central to tales about mysterious wares, traded from sources no one can quite recall, yet the encounter invariably ended in laughter, echoing into the twilight. Each interaction reflects the pervasive humour upon which they thrive, deepening the ties between trading tribes. Connections more valuable than even the rarest spices or brightest gems. The playful disputes that pepper these encounters are more than contests. They are congenial crafts where longtime friends, or fast-forming ones, test their wits and share their experiences through ingenious exchanges of both goods and humour. And though the trading camp may pack and march onward, the stories remain etched in the sands, reminding all who visit that humour adds an unquantifiable value, transcending the ephemeral nature of material goods. Choose, as the travellers do, to see beyond what the hand holds to what the heart gives. The timeless companionship shared around fires, ringing with the laughter of those who dare to mingle stories with trade. So, as the day concludes and shadows mingle with memory, humour ensures a return richer than the sum of traded goods, embodying a lasting testament to the spirited reverie shared under the sky's watchful eye. As tomorrow's roads beckon, travel them knowing laughter is the lightest carry forward. We have more tales to explore, and humour will be our guide. Shall we continue onward, where stories unfurl and trade winds entice with the promise of adventures yet untold? With each step across the varied terrain, you enter the realm of nature itself, discovering how its unpredictable yet beautiful phenomena serve as both backdrop and participant in the lives of nomadic warriors. The world around them holds countless surprises, many of which take form in the uncanny encounters with animals that shape both daily routine and folklore. In the interplay between nomad and nature, humour becomes an essential companion. Imagine a crisp morning as the camp stirs to life, the air filled with the scent of dew-kissed grass and the earthy promise of adventure. You find yourself walking alongside a group of warriors, their senses attuned to the symphony of nature unfolding around them. Amongst the rustling leaves and distant bird calls, you quickly realize that each sound and shadow hints at stories, some thrilling, others just downright amusing. Migration necessitates coexistence with the natural world, where every encounter with its denizens carries the potential for a tale to be told. Picture the warriors navigating a dense forest, weapons ready for the hunt. Suddenly, the path is blocked by a curious troop of monkeys intent on a mischief-making. Their antics turn even the silent woods into a stage for ad hoc comedy, as they cleverly, or sometimes inadvertently, thwart the best efforts of the hunters, drawing smiles even from the most seasoned among them. Historians still argue whether these animal encounters were seen as omens or ordinary occurrences, yet it is clear they wove humour into the fabric of daily life. An incident recounted around countless campfires is that of the brilliant badger, famed for its uncanny ability to unwittingly lead warriors into the paths of richly stocked berry bushes, or, in some cases, straight into muddy bogs, leaving everyone scrambling amid uproarious laughter. Horsemen quickly learned to pay heed to the quirks of their equine companions, some with appetites for adventure not unlike their riders. There exists a tale of a particularly headstrong mare who, convinced of her own prowess, decided to lead a chase through an owl's nesting ground. The ensuing chaos of flapping wings and clashing bravado resulted in a scene as chaotic as it was comic, leaving the warriors recounting the event as evidence of nature's own sense of humour. Wild creatures also serve as unexpected allies during critical moments. In a densely wooded valley, once thought haunted, nomads were bewildered to learn it was foxes altering the sense of acoustics, their night calls disguised as otherworldly howls. Upon discovery, this tale became a jestful jest in shared lore, a way to lighten the mood of those on midnight watch. Unexpected animal encounters often lead to significant friendships and lessons remembered with laughter. One day, in the midst of a lively market exchange, a daring goat, or rather a goat bandit, repeatedly snuck free snacks from distracted vendors. Known affectionately as the pickpocket pygmy, this goat became an involuntary fixture at gatherings, and whenever a deal went suspiciously well, the question would rise: where's the goat's share? While nature can tease and test with its mercurial moods, the warriors respond with a resilience born of laughter and learned wisdom. A relationship reliant on blending courage with cunning. Their humour reflects not only an acceptance of nature's whimsy but a celebration of it, threading moments into memories that guide future paths. Season upon season, these encounters inspire creative explanations, often transforming into lessons about adaptability, patience, or the natural cycle of give and take. Oftentimes, a story that begins with a comical duel between man and beast crescendos unexpectedly into tales of mutual respect, embellished just enough to illuminate the campfire discussions of elder and youth alike. In nature's theatre, where every leaf and paw and beak contribute to the flourish, the nomads find partners in laughter, their roles unpredictable as the wind, but just as vital. They come to understand that in weaving their lives with nature, their stories become enriched, not only with wisdom, but with the kind of levity only true understanding can bring. As nightfall draws you back to the warmth of the fires, tongues of flame cast dancing shadows that mimic frolicking creatures, reminding all who gather that nature itself laughs. A quiet promise for the next days of adventure and learning. Ready the heart for travels ahead, for laughter and landscape mesh ever on the horizon. Shall we move onward, guided by tales of interplay between flesh and feather, paw and path, into stories yet to emerge under the wide open sky? As the sun rises on another day in the life of the nomadic tribe, you find yourself drawn to the bustling centre of the camp, where children, with their boundless energy, play vital roles that intertwine seamlessly with the rhythms of daily life. These young adventurers, with eyes wide as the open sky, echo the future of the tribe, their laughter and mischief a vital thread in the tapestry of nomadic existence. Here within the camp, youth is not just a period of growth, but an integral part of the community's fabric, where humour punctuates learning and exploration. Imagine the children at play, their antics accompanied by the hearty chuckles of parents, warriors, and elders alike. The camp hums with an ease born from shared laughter, each child a reflection of the tribe's resilience and adaptability. Picture a group of youngsters engaged in an earnest game of Chase the Sand Spirits, a romp originally devised by an elder to keep them actively learning the lay of the land by seeking out errant dust devils. The camp resounds with shouts and giggles as older siblings take on the role of guides, teaching the younger ones to identify tracks or mimic the calls of local birds, all through the disguise of play. It is these games, stitched with exuberance, that carry forward the oral tradition, embedding key survival skills within a blanket of humor and camaraderie. Historians still argue whether these playful traditions are instinctive adaptations or purposeful instructions, but their effectiveness is undisputed. Watch as the youngsters assist in chores, duties framed as adventure and exploration. Carrying water becomes a game of precision and balance, turning an essential task into a test of skill, cheered by amused elders. Witness a young girl deftly maneuver around sloshing buckets, her somber concentration punctuated by the wink of an approving aunt who promises that here lies the path to mastering the wild river. Children's roles extend beyond unwitting apprentices. They are keen observers, often offering insights through their candid exploration of the world. Their presence reveals truths occasionally lost to adults of the tribe, sometimes literally, as in the case of playing hide and seek, when a perplexed hunter discovered one of his own finest traps by unexpectedly ensnaring the hidden toes of an eager player. Laughter echoes through the camp, turning a momentary concern into a teaching moment warmly remembered. And when it comes to storytelling, children become both participants and protagonists, their innocent inquiries sparking creative improvisations, altering traditional tales into versions more vivid and fantastical. They sit, entranced by the colourful imagery spun by elders, peppering stories with their spontaneous insights and infectious giggles, which refresh even the most seasoned narratives. A favourite among the Campfire tales is the legendary Rock Eater, a child character endowed with an insatiable curiosity about what lay beneath the fertile earth. Despite stern warnings, this fictional youth samples every pebble only to discover the secret of glowing stones. A tale designed to instill wonder and caution in equal measure, buoyed by a healthy dose of bumbling heroism. In the evening, their playful reenactments of stories told under the stars fill the camp with merriment. Young ones play the parts of noble steeds and brave warriors, staging mock battles that transition into adorable bundles of energy tumbling over one another in peals of laughter. This scene reflects the unity created when different generations share roles, learning life's lessons wrapped in jovial play. More importantly, through children's eyes, the nomadic life becomes a canvas stretched wide with endless opportunity, a place where discovery is a daily gift, and laughter is the currency that ennobles every interaction. Mischief reimagined as learning, song transformed into teachings. Such is the world these children shape with each shared smile and playful jest. As day dims, their laughter carries forward the promise of tomorrows rich with adventures and stories yet conceived. This youthful montage reflects the cycles of life that balance humour and hope, ensuring that the spirit of the nomadic tribe remains as resilient as the landscapes they traverse. Having seen firsthand the laughter shared among tribes woven into generations, you're drawn once more along these paths of burgeoning, buoyant joy. Let us proceed with this playful spirit guiding our footsteps. Shall we stride onward to explore yet more vistas, where laughter breathes life into the tales ahead? Set your sights upon the horizon, where the unpredictable landscape of life as a nomad sometimes paves the way for unlikely alliances and encounters with formidable yet comedic foes. You travel further into the heart of adventure, where humour lightens even the most arduous paths, shaping relationships marked not by conflict alone, but by shared laughter and wit. Picture a sun-soaked valley where warriors pause, scanning the terrain for movement that might herald contact with another tribe. In these moments, what begins as a routine patrol may seamlessly transform into an impromptu exchange of hilarity and goodwill. Unexpected friendships forged through circumstances that could have led otherwise. Imagine the scene. Tensions rise upon encountering a rival band, but just as arrows quiver on strings, the looming confrontation veers wildly away as a particularly skilled warrior accidentally lets loose his war cry while sneezing, turning hostility into bewilderment and, finally, roaring laughter that spills across the fields. Such fortuitous incidents have been known to redirect the trajectory of both tribes' narratives, infusing moments heavy with anticipation into bursts of camaraderie. In these alliances born from humour, shared jokes play out in the space, where treaties might otherwise be forged with gravity alone. Historians still argue whether humour here acts as a strategic element of diplomacy or simply the fortuitous consequence of human fallibility, but no one denies its efficacy in transforming foes into friends. Even among nature's non-human denizens arise encounters with an equal mix of challenge and camaraderie. Consider the witty tale of a particularly rebellious herd of wild cattle that repeatedly outmaneuvered a hunting party, only to eventually negotiate their surrender through the allure of fermented apples. This story, recounted to the children, becomes a staple of Campfire legend, a quirky synthesis of nature's unpredictability, human ingenuity, and the importance of laughter in even the most determined pursuits. The allies' gain in such comedic entanglements rise above mere cooperation. They are fonts of mutual respect, reinforced by shared stories and laughter, deepening connections in ways that traditional treaties rarely achieve. Through humour, the humans and animals alike recognize the foibles shared between them, each species in its way mastering the art of improvising with spirit and slyness. Remember too the tales involving ghostly intruders, misguided heralds from distant lands whose linguistic blunders morph awkward greetings into ridiculous pronouncements. Arguable quirky misinterpretations aside, these engagements often culminated in feasts where both host and guest indulged in the delicious absurdities of communication via dance, song, and laughter-laden exchange. Yet stories about unlikely friends ripple beyond the mere nominal, as necessity sometimes compels strange bedfellows into partnerships. Picture, for example, paired warriors and once adversarial trickster reputed traders collaborating in camouflaged ventures, employing humour as both shield and legacy. Each encounter a mark of trust drawn with the line of comic misadventure. The crux of such unlikely alliances lies not solely in humour's ability to heal old wounds, but to stimulate recognition of shared humanity in the folly of misunderstandings and missteps. Each moment born in laughter defies the constraints of traditional symbolism, uniting different paths in moments of shared relief and comprehension. And so it is that dying embers of the campfires flicker into the night, guardians of stories hewn from jest and grace, reflecting the balance of clans grown tender amid scarcity and abundance alike. These narratives, the lifeblood of nomadic transcendence, censor that today's laughter supports tomorrow's hopeful horizon, tying the ripples of time through threads spun by unexpected friendships and woven with care. As shadows lengthen and stars awaken, listen closely as whispered and shared humour echoes timelessly along paths well-travelled, carrying you forward into the dance of laughter that promises to cradle yet more tales in its joyous embrace. Shall we follow them along these spirited bounds, eager to delve into ever more realms where humour continues to define and redefine the ancestral trail? As you journey deeper into the lore of these nomadic tribes, you come across the bustling fringes of the settled communities that intersperse the endless landscapes. It is here, on the cusp of tradition and static life, that cultural exchanges flourish, often spiced with humour that bridges the gap between wanderer and settler. These interactions, filled with curiosity and cautious bonhomie, become fertile ground for stories where laughter paves the way for connection and understanding. Imagine the scene as a band of nomads arrives at a village perched on the low hills, its walls baked golden by the sun, inviting yet intimidating in their permanence. The air buzzes with a blend of travel-worn stories and earnest pleasantries as the nomads set down their burdens, eager to trade not just goods, but tales and customs with the villagers, whose world seems both alien and alluringly familiar. Every exchange becomes an opportunity for discovery wrapped in humour. Here, the settlers bring forth baskets overflowing with ripe fruits and strange aromatic spices, a welcome that both entices and perplexes the nomads unaccustomed to such bounty. The villagers, in turn, marvel at the nomads' tales of the vast steppe and the endless dunes, stories coloured with humour that stitches the nomads' travels into a patchwork quilt of laughter and lessons. One might witness the friendly teasing that occurs as a novice trader enthusiastically negotiates for what he believes to be a rare root, only to discover later it's a common vegetable with somewhat exaggerated merits. His chagrin and the villagers' laughter meld into a shared story, becoming part of the local lore, a vibrant echo of the light-hearted familiar thanks to the warmth of humour. Historians still argue whether these exchanges were pivotal moments of cultural fusion or mere curiosities. Yet the bonds formed through laughter are undeniable. Such tales became integral to the ever-evolving tapestry of oral history, where misconception gives birth to merriment, and tradition grows through jest. Within this marketplace of ideas, traditions are swapped, a dance step for a recipe, a wandering ballad for the local rhyme. There is the story of a nomadic elder whose spellbinding tale of star-crossed lovers sparks a spontaneous reenactment by the villagers, transforming the dusty square into an impromptu square where laughter and applause blend with the dying light of the setting sun. You can see how humour turns a simple exchange of goods and knowledge into enduring alliances, built on the shared recognitions of life's foibles and fortunes. One enduring tale describes how a moonlit feast born of mistaken identity leads merchants and warriors alike into a jovial night of revelry, ending in informal oaths of friendship, sealed with joy and jest. These exchanges also reveal the humour and ingenuity in both cultures' adaptability. Shared meals become symposiums of wit, where each delicacy carries its story and its punchline. A celebrated moment recounts a misadventure involving fiery spices mistaken for sweeteners, resulting in a cacophony of delighted splutters and realizations that fire, indeed, lives inside each exchange. Among these welcomed interactions, the impromptu performances by nomadic jesters captivate villagers, unfolding chaotic pantomime draped in hyperbole to bridge the conversational void between mobile and stationary lives. Their humour, a universal solvent, sees skepticism dissolve into understanding, elevating their tales from mere entertainment into bridges of empathy. It is this laughter, this shared human experience, that constructs a living narrative between settled soil and moving feet. Life's absurdities and wisdom find common ground, evidence of shared humanity in diversity. Each laugh, clear, unguarded, layers another brick onto bridges unseen yet deeply felt. As the moon rises high above, binding earth, tent, and village into a singular embrace, you listen to the whispers of laughter seep into the very fabric of night. Promises of connections yet untethered, but solidly underpinned by joy. Preparing you for the journey's continuation, these bonds ensure that as you step forward, the humour echoes in harmonious cadence with the melody of the wayfarer, infinite and inextinguishable. Shall we wander onward together, eager for the comedic interludes of culture yet to play their tune upon this ever-unfolding path? As you venture deeper into the winding paths of nomadic life, you uncover the profound role that humour plays in enduring hardship, a powerful force that turns tribulation into triumph, offering warmth amid the chill of adversity. For the nomadic warriors, humour is more than an escape. It is a lifeline and a compass, guiding them through the challenges and uncertainties that accompany a life marked by constant movement. Imagine a scene where the landscape is enveloped in the austere severity of winter. The biting cold nips at the faces of the warriors, who trudge across snow-draped plains, their breath hanging in the crisp air. In these moments, laughter becomes both a shield and a spark, igniting the spirit and fortifying resolve. It is in song and jest that the chill loses its edge, the raucous cries of a well-timed joke shaping camaraderie that's warmer than any fire. Historians still argue whether humour in this context is a simple coping mechanism or a more profound cultural tradition, yet there's no denying its effectiveness. Picture a harrowing journey where the camp is beset by a sudden blizzard, only for the storm to abate when one cheeky warrior begins an exaggerated retelling of the frozen bread fiasco, a misadventure involving a loaf forgotten in the icy wilderness, only to thaw into a soggy but amusing spectacle. The hilarity diffuses tension, ushering relief like the welcome break in the clouds. Nomadic warriors understand that within every ordeal lies the seeds of a story, one that grows richer and more vibrant the more it is nurtured with laughter. Picture an arduous trek through torrential rain, the mud clinging to boots attempting to halt progress. In these conditions, humour is the buoyancy that lifts the feet and heart. Perhaps a clumsily rendered fall results in an impromptu ode, a playful song dedicated to the great throne of mud, sparking contagious grins amid the gloom. The satirical recount of these encounters becomes an exercise in survival, transforming enemies in the form of weather and fatigue into characters within a grand comedic narrative. This storytelling tradition not only bridges the gap between hardship and hope, but reaffirms a shared tenacity. Through each belly laugh and sardonic quip, the nomads reclaim their agency. Each jest a reminder of their power to redefine reality with resilience and wit. Into these challenges step the unlikely heroics of animals caught up in the whimsy of survival. Observe a pack of wolves, observed carefully by the tribe, only for one brave or supremely oblivious canine to take refuge within the warmth of an inadvertently left open tent. The resulting surprise and chase transform what could have been a tense encounter into the tale of the howling guest ticket, a story that yields laughter rather than fear, a way to tease out the brighter shades of peril's palette. Humour also becomes a bridge across generations, the lessons of past adversity transmitted through laughter and precedent. Youngsters learn not just the skills of navigation or trapping, but how levity serves as medicine for hardship's harder edges. In times of privation, creativity honours the tradition of helming cheer. A meal concocted from scant edibles becomes the great feast of foraged things, where each bite, no matter its original promise, is paired with laughter until spirits and stomachs are consoled. Even in the relationships forged upon the anvil of great challenges, humour illuminates. Picture an unusually grumpy night watch exchanging barbs with their fellows over proposed names for the star formations observed. Goat's beard versus stargazer's drool. Subtly reminding all present that even under watchful vigil, there lies the capacity for joy against the night. By infusing their lives with humour, these nomadic warriors tread the rugged terrain, painting their journey not just with strains of survival, but with ebullience. They endow the dark places with a brightness born of mirth, crafting narratives that celebrate both the solemn and the light. Thus, in their dance between resilience and hope, the paths of humour and hardship intertwine into an unbreakable lattice. One which, as you walk amongst them, promises that tomorrow's dawn brings with it stories yet resplendent in the warmth of laughter. With spirits elevated by the harmony of jest and perseverance, shall we keep stride, eager to see what other tales spring forth from the courage of humour along the way. As the sun rises once more over the vast and varied terrain, you find yourself captivated by the legends that resonate through the camp, where tales of renowned warriors blur the lines between myth and reality, a patchwork of tall tales and truths interwoven through the ages. It is in these legendary stories that humour often plays a surprising role, elevating the figures they feature from mere mortals to larger-than-life icons. These warriors, whose exploits are recounted with reverent mirth, have become symbols of the nomadic spirit. They embody the ideal balance of valour, wisdom, and wit, leaving behind a legacy that challenges and charms in equal measure. As you listen to these tales, you realise that the humour woven through their narratives serves to humanise them, making their extraordinary feats both relatable and unforgettable. Picture the scene as the camp gathers around the fire, the crackling flames lending their glow to eager faces bathed in anticipation. An elder begins to recount the legendary adventures of a warrior known only as the Whirlwind. This iconic figure is said to have possessed strength unmatched, intellect unrivaled, and a penchant for spinning an impossible yarn, right alongside his whirling spear. Historians still argue whether the Whirlwind was a singular individual or a composite of various heroic deeds, but the stories themselves are rich with humour and hyperbole. From claims that he once tamed a tornado with a wink to tales of him convincing a charging bear to dance for its supper, each anecdote becomes a testament to the nomads' ability to elevate their heroes with affectionate exaggeration. There's the tale of how the Whirlwind famously outmaneuvered an entire rival tribe using nothing but his clever song, teaching listeners that wit could indeed prevail over sheer might. During arduous marches, his familiar refrain, born of mingling courage with jest, is remembered as both battle cry and comfort, a reminder to all who recall just what a warrior of humour could achieve. In another episode, the Whirlwind supposedly rescued an entire encampment from a siege through the strategic distribution of fermented honey sweets, allegedly turning foes into friends overnight through their resulting honey-induced revelry. The image of intoxicated dancers switching sides through joviality alone underscores how humour can disarm even the most steadfast hostility, leaving room for peace and collaboration. Be kind to dance and collaborate. These legends also offer insight into human foibles, reminding all listeners of the charm found within failure. One story relays how the Whirlwind once mistook a simple molehill for an enchanted grove, eliciting roars of laughter as the tale unfolds. emphasizing that solace and strength can be found when one's shortcomings are embraced with a hearty laugh. Beyond the battlefield, the whirlwind's ability to spin words with as much efficacy as weapons reinforces the transformative power of story, the way those who listen become participants in a shared narrative, enriched by humor's unifying echo. His anecdotes of negotiating trade routes with improbable gifts like flying blankets or invisible wild corn serve, though clearly whimsical, to inspire audacious thinking and endless creative solutions. These tales of the whirlwind and other legendary figures reflect not just the physical prowess that characterized these heroes, but the humor that allowed them to transcend trials and tribulations. Inside this humor lies wisdom, guiding the tribe to see beyond the literal, to hold on to legacy lightly enough, inviting growth without the weight of expectation. In this realm of heroic yarns, the stories themselves become fluid companions, warriors of both sword and jest taking on new dimensions with each telling, adapting to the needs of the present while still anchored by the shared laughter of the past. Through the winding narratives and sprung exaggeration, beyond mere morality, there lies an understanding that heroes are more complex, coloured by the laughter that eases life's burdens and tempers its triumphs. The wisest lesson within, the greatest legacy left behind, is not in the deeds declared, but in the effort to laugh through them, echoing through each age with vibrant resilience. As the echoes of such legends linger among the flickering flame shadows, you feel the draw of more stories ahead, ones where truth, fiction and fun intersect in the expansive tapestry of telling, inviting engagement in the vastness anew. Ready are we to wander onward and uncover yet more corners where humour and history meet under the watchful sky. As the gentle light of dawn softly embraces the camp, you find yourself amidst the symphony of voices that accompany nomadic life. Here, nestled within the vibrant hustle of daily chores and preparations, you witness the intriguing interplay of miscommunication and merriment, a dance both delicate and delightful, where words sometimes weave stories of unintended humour. Within this tapestry of everyday interactions, language becomes not just a tool but a playful companion, adding colour to the fabric of life. Imagine a sunny morning as various tribe members gather to discuss an upcoming journey. In the tangle of different dialects and regional twangs, what begins as a simple inquiry about the weather morphs into an animated debate about feathered weather vanes. Each participant furrowing brows, then bursting into laughter as the misunderstanding unravels. Historians still argue whether these linguistic flubs stem from the nomads' need to adapt, or are simply inherent to such a diverse way of life. Yet one thing remains indisputable. Humour provides the glue that binds these exchanges. Missteps in communication do not divide but unite, their aftermath echoing with amusement shared across campfire circles. An iconic tale cherished among the tribe recounts the time a young warrior brimming with bravado completed a daring act, and then, through one misplaced word, inadvertently claimed to have wrestled not a wild stallion, but an onion. His muddled retelling becomes the camp's rallying tale of humility, reminding warriors that prowess occasionally falters when tangled with the tongue. Amidst these verbal pitfalls, you notice how humour lends itself to bridging gaps between generations, teaching young and old alike the value of more than words alone. The elders, their language rich with colourful idioms and seasoned with wisdom, engage the youth in playful lessons where wit is a tool sharper than any blade. Encouraging laughter at their mistakes, they assure the young that far from diminishing the speaker, miscommunication can spur both innovation and delight. The nomad's humour is also reflected when bartering goods with settlers from distant lands, where differing tongues mingle as readily as trade itself. The practical task of exchanging wares often moves into the realm of the theatrical, as exaggerated gestures and eye-popping demonstrations elicit bemusement and grins among viewers. Consider, for instance, the famed "cabbage for the stars" incident, where a barter's mistranslated desires led to an impromptu artistic interpretation of horoscopes using vegetables, only to end with much merriment and a surprisingly well-timed feast. Miscommunication extends beyond language, encompassing the unexpected foibles of human behaviour amid nature's grand theatre. Imagine an impromptu dust storm swirling through the camp, rearranging the haphazard piles of belongings, turning mornings into a grand scavenger hunt. A jest by nature that produces tales narrated with the glint of shared understanding. These verbal stumbles and nature's capricious mix-ups become stepping stones, inviting inventive solutions, uninterrupted creativity, and a humorous insight into life's gentle chaos. Each slip in translation stands not as a barrier but as a testament to resilience, a linguistic tapestry continuously embroidered with hearty laughter and mutual compassion. You realize that within this intricate dance of words and mirth lies a deeper truth, the recognition that perfection is not a requisite for connection. Misunderstandings become gateways granting access to the humor that lightens the load, a bridge spanning the chasms of doubt and unknowing. As the day unfolds, laughter infusing with the melody of daily chores, the circle of life within which these tales reside expands with boundless possibility. Ready to explore further and venture across more linguistic landscapes where missteps lead to magical new insights? Shall we proceed, eager to find where the interplay of humor and history beckons next to twist the tongue anew? With each passing evening, the campfire burns steadily, casting its ancestral glow across the gathered tribe, a reflection of the enduring spirit of those dwelling beneath the luminous expanse of stars. It is in these moments, as the embers crackle warmly like old friends, that you contemplate the journey of those seasoned warriors who have trod this path for lifetimes. These revered elders, with years etched into the lines of their faces, now hold the title of living legends, whose anecdotes remain as vivid as the night's constellations. Imagine an atmosphere where age is not just a number but a badge of honor, where the transition from active warrior to sage is celebrated with humor that dances as sure-footedly through the years as they once galloped across the plains. In this elderhood, stories thrive. Enriched by history and humor, they are ripe with wisdom that comes from decades of observation and laughter. Picture an evening in which an elder, affectionately known as the teller of wind and time, takes center stage among rapt listeners. His stories are woven with both humility and humor, his voice a soft rumble reminiscent of distant thunder, drawing guests into tales not just of battles and hunts, but of human folly and wisdom. When he recounts the tale of his own misadventure, mistaking a wild river's gentle murmur for his spouse's reprimand, collective chuckles resonate, their warmth turning each story into a shared bond of acknowledgement. Historians still argue whether these narratives began as records of truth or spirited embellishments. Nevertheless, they have become part of the tribe's living history, each chuckle a benediction passed through generations. In the end, what remains is not merely fact or memory, but laughter, an enduring echo of life's seasons. Stepping into the role of storyteller, these elders breathe life into legends, no longer participants in grand exploits, but architects of tales that bear lessons littered with laughter as conduits for life's guiding principles. Each recollection is a gift, their timbre easing doubts and uncertainties like the night breeze rustling foliage. The transition into elderhood, marked by revered status and playful reverence, suggests a natural rhythm within the tribe, a time-defining cycle where humor becomes a cornerstone for legacy building rather than constraint. These veterans of wanderlust reveal how laughter tempers each stage of the journey, reminding listeners that the story itself is as crucial as its conclusion. On occasion, children gather at their feet, absorbing yarns of history laced with humor, forging memories that intertwine with the stars above. One such gleeful recounting involves an unyielding swan who took over a cooking pot's foremost position, forcing a compromise of significant culinary giggles. Kids and adults alike delighting in the whimsical reimagining of household hierarchy. The elders' humor extends through music and song, where satirical melodies echo not only personal triumphs and fears, but community rhythm. They have perfected the art of transforming humor into the gentle embrace of storytelling's notes, harmonizing with the fire's crackle and the heart's pulse, a continual reminder of the path's vibrant legacy. With humor as their ally and storytelling as their art, these wise figures wield anecdotes as both memory and aspiration, underscoring that resilience is buoyed not just by courage, but by the ability to find joy amid the day's challenges. Through humor interwoven with insight, they encourage others to see beyond what the eyes capture, to search for the narrative glowing within every experience. As the campfire dwindles, a drowsy contentment weaving itself through the evening chill, you listen to the whispers of stories held dear, bundled into the communal embrace of laughter and time. Prepare for yet more journeys into tales enriched by absorbing humour, resonating across generations under stars that hold eternal promises. Shall we continue onward, with these seasoned voices guiding us toward a horizon both known and unknown, ready to uncover where humour meets the ancient weary warmth of companionship once more? As the moon casts its silvery veil over the encampment, you find yourself captured by the enduring legacy of humour among nomadic cultures. An echo from the past that resonates endlessly into the future. It is a legacy woven with stories and laughter, where each jest carries with it the wisdom of ages and the resilience born from both joy and hardship. As you settle once more beneath the starlit canopy, the final chapters of this journey unfold, offering a serene conclusion to the tales spun across time. In this gentle night, the laughter of countless generations seems to whisper through the winds, enveloping you in a comforting embrace. These tales, marked not just by heroics but by humour, paint a portrait of life that is both vibrant and vivid, remaining forever etched in the collective memory of the tribe. Each story told by the firelight leaves behind an imprint, a reminder that no matter how challenging the path, humour lights the way. Imagine the scenes you've witnessed. Warriors jesting at the heart of conflict, children spinning tales that bridge generations, elders sharing wisdom wrapped in mirth. Each moment is a testament to the enduring spirit of the tribe, one that embraces laughter as a tool for survival, connection, and legacy. Historians may debate the origins of these tales, but what remains undisputed is the laughter, a steadfast thread knitting together the tapestry of nomadic life. The legacy of humour among the nomads becomes more than mere folklore. It is a living, breathing tradition that weaves through every facet of their existence. From forging alliances to lightening the burdens of hardship, from tales told round the fire to songs sung beneath an open sky, humour is the heartbeat that sustains them. It is the ever-present reminder that life's challenges are temporary, but joy can be eternal. As this journey draws to a close, you find solace in the knowledge that these stories will continue to echo across the grasslands and valleys, carried by the winds to places familiar and unknown. Even as the campfire dims, laughter remains embedded in the very fabric of this world, a silent promise that life, in all its complexity, can always be met with a smile. In this peaceful moment, where wandering stories rest beneath the wide-eyed wonder of the night sky, you are reminded that history's vast and varied tapestry is richer with humour. Let this be a gentle lullaby to ease you into the realm of dreams, where warriors and jesters wait with tales anew, where laughter becomes the bridge between worlds yet discovered. Let these stories cradle you softly as you drift away into the sweet embrace of slumber. Greater than sweet dreams,